In the first week of July 2019, when we met one of our close colleagues, he invited us to visit his newly purchased house in Satara in Maharashtra. After a brief discussion, the invitation was gladly accepted. In the next few minutes, the program was also finalized. Initially, the plan was to go there together with his family from Bengaluru by bus and return the next day. But later, considering the long and tedious bus journey, he gladly agreed to our suggestion to visit the place at our own convenience. Thus, when a plan was drawn to visit Bhopal of Madhya Pradesh in August, it was decided to make a stopover at Satara for a few days. His wife, handing over the house keys, gave a detailed briefing of the rooms, locks, etc. There was not much rush in the Swarna Jayanti express train from Mysuru that left at 8:10 p.m. on August 2019. The journey would have been comfortable but for the continuous chatter of a three-member lady group that was in the same compartment. The next day by 5 a.m., when I lifted the window glass panes and the rain shields, I found that the train was about to reach Dharwad. It was raining heavily and the streams were in full flow. The rain so far missing in Mysuru and the rest of the Karnataka districts had already made its mark. The muddy rainwater gushing out of the agricultural lands appeared in a great hurry to join the nearby stream or river that could help the agricultural work on the banks of the downstreams, so far deprived of water. The pace between Dharwad to Londa and beyond was one of the most pleasing for the eyes. The endless forest cover stretching miles together perhaps would be one of the longest ever in India. It brought to my mind the vivid memories of 15 days that I spent all alone in May 2004 in a dilapidated temple deep inside the Dandeli forest, surviving on a half a kilo puffed rice. I still can't believe how I stayed there in the most hostile conditions. Half the passengers of the train go down at Belgaum. Once it crossed the city area, the wonderful forest cover of Belgaum was in full flow again. It was such a refreshing sight to see huge, evergreen forest cover for miles together, a sight that was impossible to see anywhere in the country at the moment. On both sides, the agricultural lands had paddy, banana, vegetables, etc. cultivated extensively. In most of the field, huge sized wells full of stored rainwater were found. It was a refreshing view from the other parts of Karnataka, where cultivation was basically with monsoon rains or motor pumps. As the train pulled its way ahead to Maharashtra side, slowly agricultural lands with sugar cultivation was seen. Once it fully crossed the river Krishna, signaling the natural borders of Maharashtra, it was difficult to see anything other than the sugarcane cultivation. We were entering the famous sugar belt of western Maharashtra that consisted of Miraj, Sangli, Karad, Satara, Pune, where Sri Sharad Pawar, the shrewd Maharashtrian politician, was the uncrowned king of sugar lobby of the country. Since the 80s, the sugarcane cultivation has caught the imagination of most of the farmers of the country for a couple of reasons. The year-long water-guzzling crop that hardly requires any maintenance or labor fetches a reasonable good minimum support price from the government in the name of encouraging the agriculture. Encouraged by the quick returns Without much toil, the farmers all over the country of even dry lands have taken up sugar cultivation by drilling bore wells that can suck water from the deep aquifers of the earth. This has been the single biggest cause for the steady drying of wells, ponds, canals, rivers, etc. in many parts of the country, and the resultant acute water shortage that can also result in a whole lot of health issues. The sugar has another angle. Since the profit margin is more on alcohol than the crystal sugar, the sugar crushing factory owners were more interested in converting the sugarcane juice into alcohol and supplying it to the distilleries. As I thought about these unending issues, the train had already reached Satara station by 1:15 p.m. The small station was around 5 kilometers away from the Satara town. As if to welcome us, the rain god also opened out his stalk from the sky with more vigor, drenching the whole area. Hiring an auto of a known contact, we went ahead. The road from the station to the town was in bad condition. But once we reached the Mumbai-Pune-Bengaluru expressway, on the outskirts of the town, the difference was visible. After moving about another 5 kilometers, the driver turned the auto to the service road on the left side and then going ahead a little distance again to the right through an underbridge. And soon the landmark of Matosri Park housing colony with a towering idol of Hanuman at the northern end was visible right from the roadside. Turning towards the right, the auto man moved it into the colony. The first to come to the notice was the huge D-Mart mall at the beginning of the colony. Moving through the narrow but black-topped roads, the auto man took us right in front of the house that was to be our place of stay for the next couple of days. Getting out of the auto, I looked around. The whole area looked beautiful with an arc of mountains stretching from southeast to west in an anti-clockwise with a big opening on the southern side. The towering idol of Hanuman standing tall in the northern end was overlooking the colony as if it was the presiding deity. Unlike what we saw on the Google map, the whole area was lush green all around, with a couple of small streams trickling down the hillocks with a murmur on the northern side. Obviously, the brownish mountains bereft of any grass, shown by the satellite map of Google, need an urgent updation. The natural position of a couple of streams on either side of the huge Hanuman deity appeared as a humble offering by the hillock to Hanuman. The deity was placed right on top of the terrace of a small but equally beautiful temple constructed at the highest elevation inside the campus. Even as we tried to open the front gate of the door, the pujari of the Hanuman temple reached on his motorcycle. He readily joined us in our efforts in finding the right key to open the front door. For the next 1.5 hours, both of us were busy in wiping the rooms clean, etc. Even as we were busy with that work, we noticed that the house was well designed, single story, fully furnished, 2 BHK house of around 1000 square feet carpet area. It had a drawing room, 2 toilet attached bedrooms, kitchen, lobby, staircase, balcony, 1 extra each of bath and toilet room. The whole house was well ventilated with a natural light right through the day. Once the cleaning work was completed, we had a look around the campus from the balcony of the first floor of the house. The whole area was looking so beautiful and unearthly. The Mathosri Park housing colony was placed in a nature-created arc-like valley around a series of hillocks from southeast to the west with a big opening on the south. Another series of taller mountains on the southern side on the left side of the National Highway 48 were noticed. It was on them the famous Ajinkyathara fort that housed Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj grandson and his family members was constructed. The Satara town was in between the National Highway 48 and the mountains that has Ajinkyathara fort. Standing on the first floor of the house where we were in, we could have a panoramic view of the Mathosri Park and the distant Satara town in the valley of Ajinkyathara Fort Mountains. As the rain continued to pound the earth, it only enhanced the beauty further with dark rain-bearing clouds throwing a bluish misty blanket around it as it moved from south to the western direction, carried by the monsoon wind. But for the humming sounds of the heavy vehicle plying on the Mumbai-Bengaluru expressway, the whole area where we were in seemed to be wrapped up in deep slumber. The silence that encircled the place was almost palpable and seemed to soothe the inner recesses of the mind. Anyone, even with a little love for nature, would have fallen for the place at the first sight itself. We, habituated for decades to living only in the silent and uninhabited areas of the country, were fascinated immensely. By 7 p.m., as we retired for the day, I covered myself with a cotton shawl. Yet, I found it difficult to sleep because of cold. I could not make it out. The reason, as Satara's weather was almost similar to that of Mysuru, with both places on similar altitude. The next day, when I told about it, my colleague, a native of the state, revealed the secret. The issue was with the Sholapur cotton shawl that I used, he said. It had a unique quality of adapting to the weather outside. It turns cold in cold weather and hot in hot weather. Whoever has invented that versatile product that only add up to human problems need an immediate national recognition, I felt. We had many plans in Satara, a visit to the ancient and historic city, established in the 16th century on the confluence of the river Krishna and its tributary Venna that got its name to the 7 forts, Satara around it, topped the list. The fort is located on the foothills of the famous Ajinkyathara Fort Mountains that is associated with the legendary Hindu Samrat Chhatrapati Shivaji's grandson. Visit to the Vajrali waterfalls, India's highest waterfall, around 22 kilometers away, comes second in our list. But all depended on the weather conditions in the coming days. Since our arrival for the past 1 week, with the rain god unrelenting, we were yet to see the sunrise or sunset. But for the compass app in the mobile, it would have been difficult to know the 4 directions of the place around the house where we stay. With 1 more week to go, we were still hopeful, though the occasional surfing of the news on the Geo network showed that red alert was raised in the entire western Maharashtra district, including Satara by IMD, for heavy rains and floods.